Welcome back to Spitballin Cards. In this video, we're going to talk about the first Stitch manufactured relic cards. Actually talk about them this time. We forgot last time. We're also going to talk about Clayton Kershaw and Mike Trout signings and if it's worth sending stuff to them and more. Let's talk about the cast we have here. My name is Scott, Scotty B Cards on Instagram and YouTube. We also have Ty, who's also Teapot and on other channels as well, like Sports Card Investor. We have Baseball Card Addict. This is Chris, good dude, blabbing about slabbing. We have Jeff, also from Blabbing About Slabbing, who's my favorite cardboard on Instagram. We have Phil Filmington, who has a YouTube channel called Filmington, and I think he's Phil from Wilmington, if I'm not mistaken. And also, make sure you hit the subscribe button on this YouTube video and like the video if you like it. If you don't like it, feel free to dislike it. Either way, it helps our engagement and helps other people find the content. So thank you either way. And on top of that, make sure you subscribe. Well, follow is the correct term for Instagram on the Spitballin Cards Instagram page. So the very first thing that I want to talk about is going to be about the first Stitch cards and Topps update. What these are, they're nasty looking relics, nasty in a good way. They look amazing. They're great. They're great cards until you read in the top, it says from the first batch of manufactured jerseys. So it's just, it actually says mass manufactured
mass
jerseys.
produced.
It says mass on there. So why? What are our thoughts? I want to hear everybody's thoughts before I share mine. I want to go with Chris. I feel like he might be passionate about this.
I mean, yeah, this is like, there's a great line in Tommy Boy about putting a guarantee on a box. And that's what this makes me think of, because these manufactured relics have a little logo on them that MLB is certifying. And I don't know what on earth they are certifying, except that maybe this is made of nylon. Because it just sounds like this is something that was going to be, it's like the first in the box that's going to Dick's Sporting Goods, and instead it's chopped up and put into cards. So I was just shocked at like the audacity of Topps to advertise this all over like their social media. Like this is something we should get fired up about, when in reality, like these are like absolutely worthless things. Like 100%. Like this is no different than like those cards that came out of Blasters last year, an update with like a metal miniature helmet kind of in a card that was like 2 inches thick. Anyway, this just makes me mad. This whole idea makes me frustrated because I've seen people on Facebook talk about being excited for this and how cool the patches look, not grasping the fact that these patches were never touched by the player, never worn by the player, not even in a non-specific game or event or season. They're just nothing. It's just a piece of a jersey made to be sold.
It's like the jersey you're wearing right now, Chris.
Yes.
Well, it is.
That's basically exactly what it is.
I would rather have
actually sweat into this one.
Yeah, I want a Chris worn jersey over this, to be honest with you.
Yeah. What's the hologram going to show? Is it going to reveal the factory that this was made at? It's going to reveal the date that this came off the presses. I mean,
it shows the manufactured jersey. That's all it does.
Yeah,
I also don't get like the first what Dansby Swanson's had other jerseys. What do you mean it's his first jersey? I don't understand what it's talking about.
Yeah, this is one of the things that bug it. Like some of the things Fanatics has done, sort of like makes it feel to me like they don't respect us at all, and they think that the people that buy these packs and want these products are just basically sheep that line up for whatever the heck they want to put in these packs to sell us.
I mean,
like,
aren't we?
Yeah, I mean, and to be fair, we kind of are. Like, that's really something we can't entirely dispute. But I mean, like, this is just terrible. And the idea that they think we're going to get excited about this is just, it's like borderline offensive in a way.
I would just like to say that this is a chase card. I think Scott told me they're going to be numbered to 50 maybe. Yeah. So it's not like it's replacing the manufactured relics, the crazy helmets that you get or the fake Jackie Robinson patch. It's not replacing those. This is a chase card. So this is a card that they're expecting people to want to go after, that they're going to buy the product in order to get. And that's where I think the huge disconnect is.
Is someone's paying $39 on bid so far for this card? Can't they just buy like the real jersey for $100? Yeah. The first manufactured mass jersey. Couldn't they just do that if they wanted? Phil, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, just another example of manufactured scarcity gimmick that's going to hopefully drive sales of the product. Long-term value, not much. Hey, on the bright side of things, sometimes I end up being the optimistic guy, looking at it from a different perspective, even though I don't open a whole lot of wax. But in this case, I guess the optimism is at least it won't cannibalize Topps Dynasty RPAs.
Great point.
Right. And another way of looking at this is the MLB debut patches. They've shown a few examples of what those look like, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry. Yes.
And they don't look very aesthetically appealing, which is important. Obviously, you want the jersey to be legit, right? And yeah, so let's not compare the two. But I will say that at least the aesthetics here are better than what you'd usually get out of a guaranteed relic type situation from like a Topps Update Jumbo. But as Jeff pointed out, these aren't replacing those. This is an addition. This is marketed as a chase card. So that's unfortunate.
Look at this monstrosity. Autographed.
Ugh.
With a sticker on it. None of this is real.
I actually, if you could pull up the Dansby Swanson again, the lettering, the words that are written above the patch it's just fantastic.
Let me pull it up. Here's one with DeGrom. This actually is a cool patch, but again.
If you can zoom in, the first two words are guaranteed and authentic, which is a great start. But then the next two are mass produced. It's just,
it's like they're saying the quiet part out loud and expecting us to rejoice about it.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
The MLB authenticated patch contained in this card is a piece of the very first mass-produced Jacob deGrom home white Texas Rangers number 48 jersey. This jersey was not worn by the player.
So, this is a trash hobby box. When they came out at pre-sale at like $85 or between $80 to $90, I said okay, I'll pay like $43. Seeing this though, I might pay $44.50. So to me, that's how much value it is. As somebody who's opening it or buying and speculating on the product, it's going to be, at the end of the day, it's going to be an effort that it's going to blow up in their faces a bit, I think. But it's going to help more than hurt.
Ty, what's your thoughts on this?
I have a different, a different angle. And I'm going to say, I don't hate this concept. This is not something that I felt the urge, like so many people, to take to social media and make memes about and go IG live ranting. I feel like this is not of interest to me. If I were to step outside my pre-existing bias and paradigm and say, what if we weren't used to jersey pieces being in cards and we were just looking at cards as cardboard and all the different ways that the manufacturers try to make, use different materials, acetate and other things in cards, metal, wood. And they were like, hey, we're putting this really cool textural, aesthetically pleasing piece into this card. We'd be like, wow, that's pretty cool. I like this, with no pre-existing notion of a game-worn piece of jersey. The problem is we do have a pre-existing. Most of Topps, to their credit, is game-worn, if not a significant portion. Whereas in Panini world, the vast majority of it is not only doesn't have the verbiage on the back that's not from any specific game or event, it actually says not from any specific player, game, or event. So it is literally just this, except Panini isn't transparent about it, whereas Topps is being very transparent. So in many ways, you have NTRPAs that come out that people pay thousands, if not tens of thousands, if not in some cases, hundreds of thousands of dollars for a quote unquote RPA of a piece of jersey that is no longer even from the rookie photo shoot like it used to be. And Panini bills it as some elite thing. Topps is coming out and saying, this is what it is, So at least they're being honest about it. What's really weird, like Jeff said, is these are numbered to 50 and under. So they're selling it like it's something that everybody's going to want, that it's some exclusive thing. It's not. To me, this reeks of the same type of thing we've seen year over year in the blasters for flagship, with these big medallions and other things that nobody ever asked for. You can't fit into a top loader that you have on hand. So I think that's the big problem with it. It doesn't do anything for me. I don't think it doesn't bother me as much. I don't know, maybe some kids will think it's cool or something, but the fact that it's serial numbered, kind of rare, I think that's the miss. It sort of makes them look bad. It just makes them look like they think we're going to think this is cool. I'd rather have a napkin solid color game worn piece than a manufactured piece of this, whatever it is.
For sure.
Oh, sorry. I made myself. Hey, everybody. I made it just me. Sorry about that. All right, there we go. So I was trying to share me looking up the sticker to show on MLB's website what it would say, but it doesn't even work. So my concern. So you all saw the card. I don't need to pull it up again and shove it in your face. But what it showed is it has the MLB authentication sticker, which is great to see on a patch card because it says this is from a game. You can look up on that website. I was just showing how the player did in that game. But can you ever foresee a world where people are pulling those off and sticking on other jersey cards and trying to sell it for more without the knowledge of someone looking it up? Like, is that something we should be concerned about? Or someone puts a fake patch in a card and then they put that sticker on there and they dupe people. Like, is that something that could happen? Or am I just giving scammers ideas right now?
That feels like that's what Topps is doing.
That's fair. That's literally what they're doing. That's a great point. But all right. Well, I will say I would rather pull this than the medallion card because it looks like they're worth more. That's about it for me. So, all right. Any other final thoughts before we jump to the next topic? Okay. So the next topic I want to discuss is going to be about Michael Nelson Trout and Clayton Kershaw. These two players are going to have signings over the next few months. And these signings, I think it was like $700 for a Mike Trout autographed baseball. It's like $1,000. What's that?
I'll give you the numbers when we get to
Oh, you have them? Great. Because I was trying to pull them up while I'm talking, and I just can't do both. But yeah, so it's like $700 for an autographed baseball. He's not signing sports cards. It's like $1,000 for a jersey. It's crazy. Clayton Kershaw will sign your sports cards, but that's going to cost like $500 to $700. And then a game-worn jersey by Kershaw is like $4,000 to get signed. And so the question that's posed on social media and what we all thought in my Mike Trout chat is, why would we do this when we can just buy a Mike Trout autograph, right? Like if we're having to go out there and pay for this, maybe you want to get a Mike Trout rookie autographed, but that already exists. And Mike Trout's not signing those. So why would you pay for that when there's dozens and dozens and dozens of sets, literally, with Mike Trout autographs year in and year out? Is it worth the money? Is it a money grab? What are your thoughts on these signings? Let's go with you, Ty.
I don't have a ton of thoughts about this. When it comes to like paying for autographs and sending things in, I'm not a through the mail guy. I like the thrill of the chase in the pack. That's something that harkens back to when I was a kid. When it comes to like in-person signings, like at the National, I'm probably one of the last people who would be in line and stand there all day to wait for an autograph or forever and like pay for it. I'm a big authenticity guy, and I do not like forced meet and greets. I don't like paid interactions. It makes me, I feel gross about it. I'm just like, these guys meet thousands and thousands and thousands, millions of people, over their careers who want something from them. And if there were a way to have like a very real, just like, hey, I'm going to sit down and have a burger with a guy and just like talk, that'd be really cool. I think we see more and more of that in podcasts, but like when it comes to these costs and like going after specifically after autos and memorabilia and all this stuff, it's just not something that's ever resonated with me. I like the idea of pulling an auto, from a pack or buying it on the secondary market on a card. And that's about the extent that I go for it in general. So I don't have a ton of strong opinions about this either way.
Okay. What about you, Jeff? I think you might.
Yeah. Well, I'm a huge Mike Trout fan, and I've been an ardent defender of him and his legacy. And even though he hasn't played a full season in 8 years, I still feel like talent-wise, he's one of the best players in the game and one of the greatest players we've seen. It's hard to not think of this kind of thing as a money grab. There's so many autographs out there. Both Clayton Kershaw and Mike Trout sign everything. So every year there's a ton of new Mike Trout autographs. If you look on eBay, you can always find hundreds and hundreds of them. And they aren't that expensive compared to what it costs to get something signed. So this signing that he has, I just want to give you the details. It's a non-personal signing. It's a private signing, which means you send your stuff in, it gets signed. So you don't even get to see him. Okay. So the lowest cost per signature is $525. You send in a picture, say that you want to get autographed. Game used items are $900. Original artwork is $1,200. So if you paint a picture of Mike Trout and you want it autographed, it's $1,200. No trading cards, no request to sign the full name. All you get is MT. That's it. And no nicknames. So I'm not sure what percentage that the promoter is getting versus what Mike Trout is getting. I mean, he and Clayton Kershaw have signed $1 billion almost in contracts in their careers. So I hardly think that they need money. Maybe that's just a way to whittle down the amount of people that they're going to send something so that the players don't have to sign that many things. Like Ty said, it would be so much different if you could meet a player. And that's something that we've been talking about Fanatics doing. Maybe somebody who wins a chase card or a prize gets to go on the field for a batting practice and you get to talk to the guy for 5 minutes. Even that would seem like that would be something way cooler, an experience that would be much more authentic than something like this, where you send something in, you don't even meet the player, you get his initials on it for a large fee, and then you add it to your collection, I guess. So I don't know. It's kind of frustrating to see. I don't blame anybody for trying to get money because that's the way the world works and that's the way they move on. But I just don't see what the real draw is as a collector.
I will say I did send for Ronald Acuna Jr. back in like 2021. He did a signing and I paid $250 to have that card signed. And I had it inscribed El Abusador, which is like the abuser, which can be a really bad name in the future if things don't go well for him. But that is his name on the card. He inscribed it, and it was like $250. And I can't sell that card for $250. I can't sell it. It's a rookie card autographed. No one will buy that card from me. I could probably sell for $150. It's just doing this, I feel like, is lighting your money on fire. Maybe Mike Trout's perspective is I want to give fans the opportunity to have things signed by me. And maybe this is just like the price it needs to be. So it's not just too overbearing. But like you mentioned, he doesn't need money. He is the last person right now that needs money. So it is a very interesting thing to see. Also, if you want to get inscriptions on there, you can't get Millville Meteor or War Machine. You can't get that. But you can get some other inscriptions that he has on here. And it's like $240 per inscription. And so it's just, if you want to get like more, they're really charging for every single thing.
If it's something like that, Scott, where he wants to give the chance, then why not do a charity thing where people could throw in $10 and then you pick 100 people and you sign whatever they want? I just think that there's other ways to do it besides charging this amount.
That was like irrational optimism on my part, more than me actually thinking that's what it was. But Phil, what's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think for me, I think, Scott, you hit the nail on the head a bit. I don't collect non-certified pack issued, autographs. I don't collect the non-certified Topps autographs because they're not liquid to me. They're not interesting to me. And the market is not one that I really understand. So if I was to go that route, I would want game used balls, bats, gloves signed. And in that case, I'm paying a ton of money, right? Because there's a clear market there. And I guess I'll ask too, like, can Mike Trout even like close his hand? How can he even sign these things? Guy hasn't played, as you said, Jeff, guy hasn't played over 140 games. It's kind of crazy since like 2016. I think last year people had hoped for 140. We got 120. This year, we hope for 120. We got 100. Next year, we'll hope for 100. We'll probably get 80. Then we're in Byron Buxton territory. So, at the end of the day, I mean, you're paying a price that's based on today's valuations. If you think his car prices go down, then why enroll in this program? Kershaw, I don't know. Not for me.
Kershaw, I will say I like his signing better because he will sign a card for $500. So let me explain why. And I'm I know everybody probably hates
maybe you get an SSP signed, something
yeah.
Like, that nobody else has.
This is an interesting card. This is a Billy Butler black. It's his only all-star appearance. I'm sorry, ever roll their eyes, and that's totally fine. But let me explain. Mike Trout's on this card. I would have paid, because I can get Billy to sign this whenever. I would have paid to get Mike Trout to sign it, because then I only need Cabrera left, and that's like a piece of really cool personal collection for me. That's the only situation I could see myself doing that, is why I showed that. The only situation where it's like a multi-person card, the Dr. J, the Magic Johnson rookie card, Larry Bird rookie card, right? That one makes sense to get all of them to sign it. But
now even that, everybody
has it.
It's common.
And I don't even think they want to sign that card anymore. I'm pretty sure they don't sign that card anymore. So I will say the Kershaw, at least I like, because you can go get a rare card signed if you really want to. That's the only thing I can see. What's your thoughts, Chris?
I would definitely do something like this for Acuna or for Freeman because one thing I really like to collect are the jumbo like box topper cards if the image is cool. So like at a stadium club, I know in 2019 they did like some SP images in there. So I have this Freddie Freeman like home run derby shot, which is his SP image. I would love to get that signed, and I would much rather do it through the mail because I'm 40 years old now, and I feel like it's a bit weird for me to ask someone for their autograph in person when they're younger than me. Something about that just feels, I don't know. I don't like that. So I get excited at the idea to send these through the mail. And the card I was thinking about with Trout is a Stadium Club teapot. I don't know if you have one of these, but it's I want to say it's 2019 Stadium Club SP. It might be 17. The one that has him and Judge and Betts on it. That's awesome. And there's a jumbo of that. So if you get that jumbo signed by all three, I think it's the card's numbered out of 49. So it's very limited how many people can have that. That would be really cool. Like I have an opening day box topper, and it's like Freeman and Acuna. So it's Acuna's like 2020 SP image. It's them high-fiving in their Hank Aaron throwback jerseys. I love it. It looks awesome. It is rare. And if I can get them both to sign that, that's like a permanent PC piece that'll be on my wall, facing away from the light so it'll last. But like, I would absolutely love that. When I saw this Trout thing and I saw those prices, I spent like 3 minutes looking for what charity all this money was going to. And when I couldn't find one, it was so disheartening. I cannot imagine spending these prices. And the timing for both these guys is just horrific. Trout hasn't played a game in like 2 months, and we all just watched Kershaw have the worst start of his career. It's not like – it just looks bad. The optics are terrible.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I have no interest in paying that kind of prices. But $200 for Acuna to sign like an oversized box topper I have that I really like, I would probably pay that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll say one thing. I have sent one thing to be signed. Growing up, my favorite player is Don Mattingly, and he takes signings that he donates to charity. So I had an actual 84 Topps rookie that I had as a kid, so not great condition, but I sent that in to have him sign and got it back, and it's really cool, and I really appreciate it as part of the collection. But one, the money went to charity, and two, I think it was like $40. So we're not talking about life-changing money. It's just a cool piece for me to have. But full disclosure, I did have sent one in.
Here, don't zoom in on me, but just for you guys, that's the thing I was talking about.
Oh, I zoomed in on myself. I tried to zoom in on you. I just can you show it again? I was too busy showing myself.
Yeah, so if you're familiar with 2020 opening day, the SP Acuna's SP is him high-fiving Freddie Freeman. It's one of the only cards that has the two of them on it together. And it's really cool. And I heard there's an Acuna auto you could pull. That's numbered to like 5, but it's a sticker auto. So, nah.
I heard they hate each other. Remember that rumor that happened?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like no reason. Braves fans are just trying to cope when Freeman left.
Yeah, no, No, when they saw each other, and I think LA was their first series, they had an open field hug that everyone could see. I don't think there's any issue.
Sounds like
it's probably hard to hate a guy like Freddie Freeman if he's your teammate.
Yeah.
I mean, he's probably the easiest guy to get along with. So maybe there was something there. But
I will say he is a great teammate, but he does push. He pushes his teammates to stay on the field. And he has like Swanson had a good story about how he was like had a scheduled day off, and Freeman rode him the whole night before to the point where Swanson went to the manager and was like, "No, I just put me in the lineup. It's easier for me if I just play." So I mean, he has that thing about him. He's on the field every single day, and he expects you. He has played with a broken elbow for 4 weeks. Like he expects you out there. So I mean, I get it. I don't know. That's an unrelated story. Sorry, I can go off on Freddie Freeman tangents if not reined in.
I like it. I want to hear more of the Freddie Freeman tangents. I didn't know that story. But I think we're good to jump to the next topic. The next topic is going to be about rare cards in mid to low grade, or semi-rare cards in Gem Mint, PSA 10, or BGS 10 grades. The reason we're thinking of this, right? Let's talk about Bryce Harper. There's examples of a BGS 9 blue Bryce Harper or BGS 8.5 blue Bowman Chrome autograph of Bryce Harper. That might sell for $3,000. Okay. And these numbers aren't real, but just just go along with it. And we're just going to talk about it. Versus a PSA 10, like with a 10 grade autograph, 10 grade of the card, base card, right? And that might go for $2,400. is that weird? Are we collecting wrong? Should we not care so much about the grade and more so about the rarity of the card? Because if you pulled a base or a blue, you're gonna be much more excited about the blue, even if it was marginally scratched by Harper when he signed it, right? And so we can even talk about this with like a black parallel. Let's talk about, there's a really cool PSA 7 Manny Machado black parallel that sold for a decent price. I think it was like $650 or so. And so that card is a PSA 7, but I bet if we look at PSA 10 pricing of a gold, it's probably $350 or so, right? It's still cheaper, but like, should it even be that close when there is significantly less of the black, right? 50 something or 60 something versus 2,000. So what are your thoughts on this, on rare card in a mid to low grade versus a semi-rare card in a perfect 10? What's your thoughts, Phil?
Yeah, so I actually won that Machado. And usually I would say, I was thinking of how I would answer this question with a Harper. And I was like, well, if BGS 8.5, you know, it kind of feels like damaged goods to me. Like at least with the 9, I can sell it. So from the 9 to the 10, I won't pay too much of a multiplier because there's diminishing returns to me. I already like the card because of the card itself. I don't need a grade on top of it to tell me that that card is awesome, right? But I need the card to be liquid enough so I can sell it if I'd like to. Having an 8.5 and a card that's numbered to 25, and I think the key here that separates this from Black Parallel is the condition sensitivity. Bowman cardstock tends to be better than older Black Parallels, right? Full black border, those get roughed up easy. The PSA 7 Machado from 2013, I think they're only like 8 graded. Maybe 6 were graded above the PSA 7, which implies that there's another PSA 7. I could be wrong, but generally, I think people overpay for grade with cards that are numbered 25 and fewer. For me, from like a PSA 9 to a PSA 10, the general multiplier on a lot of Bowman Chrome stuff and Topps Chrome stuff is like 2.4x to get from the 9 to the 10. I want to be closer to 2x. On a red, I want to be, that's number to 5. I want to be like, it's like 1.5 versus 2.4. Like I'll pay a 50% premium to get the 10. And I'll settle for a PSA 7. I'll settle for the altered Mookie Betts that's out there that has been sold 50 times. Well, now that it's been sold that much, I probably don't want that card. But you kind of get my point here. I'll pay up for the lesser graded rare copy, rare variant.
Great. Ty, what's your thoughts?
I like true rarity over what I call manufactured rarity. Like I'm just reaching over here, right, and grabbing this card, and like how many grading reveals, including I think you've done these, Scott, like we all do. And you look at the card, and I can show you, and I'm not even look how bad I am at covering numbers. This is just a 9. It's the Bobby Witt Jr. X-Fractor, and you can see this on my Stadium Club Cards IG. But it's an awesome card. I can sit and look at this card for an hour, and I don't see why it's a 9. I don't know why it's a 9. It could be a 10 just as easily. And I got it for roughly a third of the price, you know, because it's a 9, because somebody at PSA said there's something wrong with this that most people can't see. If you were to walk into my office and see this card on display, you're looking at the card. Nobody's going like, whoa, like first thing I look at is the number. And is it a 9 or a 10? And then have some, whoops, weird. I'm dropping my slabs again. Some weird stigma about, you know, what the card is. So grading more and more, honestly, matters less and less to me in terms of the number. And I just want really cool, aesthetically pleasing cards that are rare. I think that's kind of the summary for me.
What's your thoughts, Chris?
I think we're all probably going to say mostly the same stuff, that we would rather have the lower number card in a lower grade. In fact, Jeff and I have done this several times. I think our best example, and this one still holds up. We were looking for an Ohtani auto this year, and we had like a price range in mind. And for this amount of money, I think at the time we were looking something around like $8K. And that's what his Topps Chrome base PSA 10 auto was going for. And we're like, we don't want that. Like there's a lot of those, a lot of 10s. There's a decent number of those. But what there are very few of were Heritage Redding 8.5s. We actually had a shot at this person that we had known online, picked one up, and we actually made a trade. We ended up giving him some cash in trade. I think it ended up being like a total like $7,500 in value going back and forth. And I would take that. I know it's an 8.5. Phil may disagree, but I would take the Heritage Red and an 8.5 over the Topps Chrome base in a PA 10. That was a kind of a choice that we made, and I like it. I like it. I like that card a lot more.
Jeff, Chris kind of answered for you, but I want to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, no, and I'm in full agreement with what everybody else here has said. But for me, it's also been sort of a hobby evolution, learning, going from trying to get a card in the highest grade to realizing that, like what Ty called manufactured scarcity, of having a low pop of PSA 10 is less important than having the fewer cards produced that are that same card. And so it's definitely been an evolution, and I think I'm leaning more and more that way. One thing that we've been looking at lately is second and third year black parallels of players, and like Phil had mentioned, a lot of those are in kind of rough condition. So we're looking at a lot of 7s and maybe 8s, but to have those cards of the players, that's much more satisfying than having a PSA 10 of a much more common version of that player. So I think I agree with what everybody has said in terms of finding your place in the hobby. What I have noticed is that a lot of people that are coming in now are so inundated with the importance of grading that they're demanding to have a PSA 10. So Chris and I get a lot of questions about, well, I can get the PSA 10 for the same price that I get let's say a refractor out of $4.99 that's a PSA 8. Well, I want the higher grade, right? And we kind of go through a dialogue with them and discuss what our point of view is. And obviously everybody makes their own decision. But I think that's something that the hobby in general is dealing with now. People coming into the hobby and being confused a little bit by grades and what they mean and how important that is in the scheme of things.
Is this happening because, there's more sets of players and more options to deviate from the one card in a high grade? Because if we look at the Ken Griffey Jr. 1989 upper deck, there might be more of a desire to go for the 10 versus the 9, just because of the fact that we have already more manufactured scarcity because they exist, right? Or should we just be satisfied with the PSA 7 Ken Griffey Jr.? I guess my counterpoint to that is, I think that is that a consequence of the modern sports card hobby more than anything else?
I think you chose the absolute worst example.
Okay.
Ken Griffey Jr. is the most graded card of all time. So, pretty much anything but a 10 are so readily
That's
available.
fair. There's 4,000 or 5,000 10s. Okay, well, let's take another example. I picked that card as intentionally because it's an example where is it an era thing, right? Or let's go with Larry Walker, his Tiffany rookie, or Barry Bonds Tiffany rookie. Phil has one of those, right? Do grades matter more on those cards? And is that how it's been for so long? And then the tables have turned because there's just so many options.
Yeah, it's I think Teapot had described it as there's the pre-parallel era and the parallel era, right? So, and even the 11 update Trout, it was in the parallel era. But is that card collectible at all outside of a PSA 10? Is it cool at all outside of that? You have certain cards where the PSA 10 is very important for it, based on print run, based on pop reports. The 89 upper deck, over 20,000 in PSA 9. You need the 10, or else you've got nothing. You just got a card at the end of the day. You might as well just buy a raw copy, in my opinion. So yes, so Scott, I guess the answer is yes, really, to your question. It has to do with era. It has to do with the type of card. Where then I talked about diminishing returns, so look at it from the opposite, right? Diminishing returns on a card that's already special. You don't need a holder. You don't need a PSA graded, whatever, highest graded PSA copy of it for it to be cool. It's already cool. With 89 upper deck, it needs the PSA 10 to take it to that next level because you don't have the diminishing returns there. You've got a card that is all of a sudden coveted from one that is not really in a 9.
Investing versus PC. Phil kind of said he'd probably prefer the higher grade in some cases for liquidity purposes. If you're buying it not because you want the cool Freddie Freeman card or the cool Christian Yelich card or whoever it's going to be, does that change your perspective on it at all?
Yeah, 100%. So for me, the Black Parallel, Scott, those are things that are more collectible to me, to be honest. I picked up quite a few of them, different players, lower grades that I maybe would have gone after elsewise. I'm more willing to hold those cards for longer. Because of that, I'm blinded to some of the liquidity factors that I bring up a lot of the times with, well, am I going to be able to sell it if I want to? With the Machado, I don't really care. I'm willing to hold that through and through, right? So I don't know if that was directed to me, but
No,
Yeah,
thanks, guys. I think that the right decisions, the right answer, Scott, if you were to just ask somebody on the street what matters, the grade or the card, the right answer is both. But then there's a ton of nuances, a ton of perspectives, exit strategies, whatever, what have
while
you.
you're buying the card also matters a ton.
Yep.
Jeff, you have a thought?
Yeah, or if you want to sell, just to go along with what Phil said, we just got an order back from PSA, a graded card review. I had a Bo Bichette Bowman Chrome Auto base, True Gem 9.5, and I still wanted to cross it over because I was looking to sell it, and I could sell it for about 30% more in the PSA 10 grade versus the BGS 9 grade. So grades definitely matter, and it is especially if you're talking about in terms of if you're collecting it or why you're buying it or if you're looking to sell. So yeah, there is a lot of nuance to it, but I just when you're looking for something for your own collection, or if you're not necessarily worried about trying to sell, then I think your opinion might change a little bit.
Okay. So here's the final question. We have people who are probably, if you're on this right now, you collect cards religiously like we all do. But for those that are newer to card collecting, like what advice do any of you have for them about this topic? Like what would you tell them about collecting the card versus the grade? Because it is a difficult thing to balance. For us, it might not be anymore, but it is a difficult thing. Ty, what are your thoughts?
I'd go back to the investment versus PC thing. I think Phil uses the right word a lot of times, which is liquidity. And I look for cards that I know have comps that are relatively reliable and recent, that aren't, every 2 years or something like that. Whether it's a very low grade or a very high grade, there needs to be some, trajectory of that card for people to be able to look back at the price history and say, okay, I have some degree of confidence buying this now, if I need to fund remodeling a basement or something like that. Right. So there's almost a bit of a conundrum with that. I just sort of have an internal fundamental issue with the premiums that get put on grades, that somebody just says the condition of the card matters more than the card itself and its actual rarity. So again, when I look up, things, I'm looking at stuff that's really cool, and I don't really care if it's raw or if it's dinged up or whatever. If it's for my PC and that's the express purpose of it, that I want to collect it, then I'd go for what suits your fancy. But if you're looking, it just depends on your purpose of what you're trying to get into. There are very staple cards, staple parallel colors, staple grades, other things like that will make cards much easier to get in and out of than something that's more obscure that nobody cares about, or can't count on from a price perspective.
Great point. Chris, let's have you wrap us up here with your last thoughts.
Oh boy. When you say wrap up, you mean keep it under like 15 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Here's a great example of a super rare card that has come up twice in the last week. Corey Seager's 2017 Topps SSP is this cool horizontal kind of low angle shot. It's got the gold cup. He's waiting in the on deck circle. It's a really nice looking card, like all the 2017 SSPs. A BGS 9 sold for under $100, and I was furious. I forgot about it because I had a softball game and I didn't bid, and when I saw it went for like $86, I was really, really upset. And the card looked really nice, but it's in a BGS 9, and I know there are people that will not touch a BGS 9 to fill. But there was also a raw one came up for sale with it was like $245 or best offer maybe 2 days ago. Wow. And on the back, the guy only had a picture of the front of the card. I had to ask for it. The picture of the back, there was a strong ding on like a back corner, which he eventually, I think, did put on the listing. And someone still snatched it right up for $245. Wow. So there's a stigma to like a lower grade. So if you're looking for something really, really rare, like if you're an SSP guy, or you're looking for like a low number parallel and you see it come up in like a BGS 9, for example, or like a PSA 8, there's a very good chance you're going to be able to get that card for a good price, because a lot of people won't touch that for whatever reason. But when you get that card, and I've done this, you will be just as thrilled to have that card in your collection as if it were a raw or even like a PSA 10. Like, you're really excited to have it. Anyway, that would be my closing thoughts. If you're looking for something rare, sometimes you can steal something or feel like you're getting a really good price on a card that's slabbed in a less than desirable grade.
That's a great point, Chris. And that actually made me want to ask the question of like the ethical debate of cracking a card and selling it raw. But we're not going to get into that now because it is time to wrap up. Unless anyone has a quick 10-second thought. All right. Well, thanks for watching, everybody. We appreciate it. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, comment. We want to interact with you. We appreciate you watching the show, especially if you're in at 42 minutes and whatever seconds it's at right now. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you next week.